Hi, everybody. We'll be starting in just a few minutes. Welcome today. Glad you made it. In the meantime, I'm going to play a little music from a good friend of mine. Hi, everybody. Welcome today. Glad you're here. Espavo, everybody. Thanks for being with us. We're going to go into a channel here in just a couple of minutes and kind of work with some of that. But I want to say hi to everybody. Here's Debbie, first of all. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, guys.
She'll be working with the chat room to be able to bring things in. And we've also got Kathy with us today. So there you go, Kathy. Hi.
Well, happy to be here on this snowy day for me.
You got snow, don't you? Big time. Well, so does Debbie. We've been talking about that. I took him out in my backyard to show him what the desert looks like because it's absolutely beautiful today. So anyway, I love to tease them. Anyway, welcome. Okay, so we'll be getting into this in just a second, but the group has a little message. If you have missed the message from last week, we did a special event basically called A Message for Humanity. The group actually brought in some very interesting pieces that we thought were just very unique, kind of a different way of looking at things. What they basically did was tell people that the pendulum is about to swing. And if we keep swinging the pendulum back and forth, we're not going to get anywhere. It's real simple. So they offered some different views and different ways of looking at things. And then, of course, we had that beautiful piece of music from Robin Lane, who wrote a really beautiful piece for everybody. So if you haven't watched it, it's there on YouTube. Be able to bring that back in. And today we have a few questions that were sent in. We didn't advertise this one, so we didn't tell people to send their questions in ahead of time, but we have a few, and that's going to give us more time for people in the chat room. So if you have questions or something you want to bring up to the group in live channel, you can start putting it in the chat room now. Debbie will be able to hopefully find them and be able to move back and forth and be able to see them. But Debbie will be handling that in just a few minutes. But in the meantime, I'm going to go into channel. The group's been tapping me on the shoulder anyway, so there's some things they want to bring up too. And we're going to do this every month when there's special events or when we don't get to it, like we did. I think we've done, this is the third one we've actually done this month. So it's a great way to kind of connect and be part of it. And welcome to everybody. I'm so happy to see you guys in the chat room. I really am. That's huge for me. I'd love to be able to read some of them myself, but I'm not wearing my glasses, so I can't see that far. But anyway, we'll be able to bring that in too. So thank you all for being here. And that's one of the things the group keeps saying. We can do anything if we just hold hands. That's all. We don't have to agree with each other all the time. We don't have to even support each other. But if we just realize we're all human beings trying to deal with the same issues and just share those issues and hold hands, it makes a huge difference. And with that, I'm going to step into the group. I don't know who this is, whether it's Merlia or Zandria. I don't know, but we're going to find out. Greetings, dear ones. I am Zandria, working so well, but Merlia is here as well. So we're going to bring in quite a bit of the feminine energy today to start working with you in different ways. You see, this is a balanced energy that's starting to show up in many places on your planet. Yes, we tell you, the news is not the place to find all this because it is so tainted in one side or the other. That is basically what has happened to much of you. Your separation has to do with that. And please understand, they simply have to make money, so they go for the things that are popular, whether they're true or not. So many times you end up getting fed things that you already knew. They want to validate what you already know, so they send you these things. And of course, many times you'll see much of this as well in what is called the rabbit holes. They're very good at finding rabbit holes that interest you and bring you back to the same place. So today, we're going to show you a much wider view to bring together several of the aspects of humanity. And let me share with you a little bit of the place that all of you can play in this. First of all, there are no sides. And we've mentioned this before as a collective. But we have to understand that many people will feel that they're on one side or the other of issues or different things that will come up in different ways. But please understand, if you think you're on a side, you have been separated. And that's the biggest key that we wish to bring to everybody. You're humans. You're spirits pretending to be humans. And as such, you can help each other along the way in absolutely incredible ways. There's so much of this that we'll be bringing forward to share with you about possibilities and things that you can bring in yourselves in different ways. But know that you're in the right place at the right time. We tell you, dear ones, you have set the energy for so much that's taking place. And here you are coming in, experiencing all the things you have to experience as a new human, to try and not be able to remember your past lives, not be able to remember the things that were so gracious for you. But we ask you to simply walk in grace, because that's the idea. That is the part that will not only change all of humanity, but it will allow everything to step up to the next level. And that's what we're excited about. We also tell you that there are many of what you call ETs, watching, playing around, occasionally showing themselves. We find it absolutely fascinating. Now, what are the ETs? Well, you have postulated all sorts of things about where they come from, where they reign from, what the energies are, and so forth. But we tell you there's many of them you have no clue about, because many of these places you have not discovered yet. We've talked to you much about Aris. Aris is a planet very full of energy, but it was also very dominated by the feminine, the exact opposite of what you have experienced here on planet Earth. Now, Aris and you have crossed timelines previously. You not only cross timelines, because when you cross timelines, you leave imprints of each other, but you cross timelines in such a way that you were together for a very long time and left major imprints. Now, and the planet Earth, you've seen a lot of the reaction of the masculine energy trying to hold things in place as the feminine rises. Do not let that fool you. It is working really well. The seeds are planted, and humans are incredible animals. All of you have the capability of connecting with your spirit and walking in that energy more than you've ever known. Now, in Aris, it absolutely changed a lot of things, which really should give you hope. Because now what is taking place is they have just elected their first leader in a male energy, and that has never happened before. But now there are new celebrations and things that are working. It's still very feminine dominated, as yours will continue to be male dominated for some time. But the crossing of this timeline some couple of years ago now has really imprinted everything for them. It has for you as well, but you've also got a lot of energy trying to change things and move things in a direction that will benefit those that are trying to change things. But we also say, you're magical beings. Don't be fooled by any of it. Step back and look, because if you step back in the timeline a little bit, you're all going to find out you have been created by the same energies. You all started from the same place. You're spirits. And if we can remind you of that and connect you to that, you will not have the division. You won't have the division of the masculine feminine. You won't have the division of the politics that you have. You won't have the division of the belief systems that you currently have. These are moving in a beautiful direction. Yes, they have to have challenges, but please understand, if you look back at your life and you pick out the most difficult thing that has happened to you, the most traumatic thing that has left imprints on you in some way, and perhaps even changed your life drastically, if we were to ask you if you wish to go back and change that to where you did not go through that, 83% of you would say no, we'll not change anything. We've gone through it, we've gained from it, and here we are, because you do gain from it. So even when humanity really seems to be having difficulty, even when you can't communicate, even when things are happening that you can't quite believe, know that these are here, and know that you will find a balance coming very soon. Merlia is talking here at this point, and she's also bringing up the fact that you are magic. Dear ones, you carry magic more than you understand. When you work with this, you will start to get good at this. You have capabilities of very soon uncovering some of the secrets of the orthogonal matrix and be able to shift dimensions yourselves. We'll be working with that. You'll be finding this in many different ways, not just through us, but through many aspects of humanity. We'll start talking about the multidimensional possibilities, because these are exciting, and we can't wait to see how things work with you. And with that, we thank you for being here this day, and we'll start taking the first questions. Espavo.
Okay, our first question comes from Elizabeth, and she says, "Hello, beloveds. It is my understanding that the orbs showing up in our world at an increasing rate are beings from other dimensions. If this is so, can and do they interfere with our politics and our other activities? And if so, why are they allowed to do so? Thank you so much, Elizabeth."
Yes, they are orbs, and yes, they are basically from other dimensions. They're able to actually peer into your world by appearing as an orb. They're actually much smaller than you imagine, but by gaining a little bit of size, if you will, they're able to visit. And that's what they're doing. Are they controlling different things in your world? No, you're being controlled by your own technologies. They're very rapid. If you'd like to know a little bit more about that, we'll be happy to tell you about it. It's no secret. And furthermore, it's not illegal. There's nothing illegal. There's really nothing wrong with what is happening. But what is taking place is humans are learning to trust something different. When you watch something and it makes you angry and you want to take action, you've been hooked. It's that simple. So if you make reactions, if you make possibilities in a different way and you act instead of react, now you have possibilities. This allows your head and your heart to both become involved. If you're just acting out of fear, which is actually a heart connection, it's a vacancy of love. And if you do that, then you're being controlled. That's how you can be controlled. So take it all as a big joke. Take it all as a wonderful opportunity to see all these things being said and so forth. Step back, see yourself, see the opponents as doing the same exact thing that you are. They're caught in a little time warp, so to speak, and they're only seeing certain things. I will tell you very clearly, you have companies that have perfected this information, and they are helping greatly with what is taking place with politics, not just in the United States, but globally. You've had things we've brought your attention before. You've had 10 years ago, you had Cambridge Analytica, which claimed they could do exactly that and did. And then they had to sit in front of all these regulators of the UK that questioned them and tried to figure out what they did. Well, they shut down, but did the technology go away? Of course not. It went underground. It's being used everywhere. And it's simple. You know, if you take a look at simply this basic things that you're seeing, you're watching this, most of you are watching this on YouTube. Now, YouTube is a wonderful company. Google is not a bad company. But what they're doing is they're advertising. That's how they make their money. So if you understand that, you'll see that they've also very clearly told you they wish to collect information about you so that they send you only things that interest you and not all the things that don't interest you. It's called a rabbit hole in the industry. Well, the biggest challenge about that is that it basically limits what you see. And in that way, you can be controlled. You'll notice that when you go onto YouTube, you see a main screen before you go to your own YouTube channel or your favorite channels. That main screen is only things that interest you and in fact validate your current belief systems. So you rarely get to see a wide variety. And for a longest time, you had your news stations that would do that as well. And now they're starting to be very tainted as well in both directions. So understand you're not getting all the picture, which is why you have so much division. Is it wrong? No, it's not wrong, but you can tell the difference. And you just the same way that you're starting to spot AI, which is rampant everywhere. It's not a problem, but if you wish to know what AI is and what it isn't, you need to be very much aware of that. And they, again, will bring you things that look very real, but not always. So you learn this with heart discernment. It's a technique of being able to balance your head and your heart and simply know what is right for you at this moment. It's not judging something as good or bad. It's not saying this is bad or this is AI, so I'm not going to watch it, or this is on the other side of what I'm seeing. What it is it brings you the capabilities of saying, this I love, and this is not for me at this moment. But the moment you call something good or bad, you put a little tag on it and you attach it to yourself and it follows you everywhere. So just enjoy the journey and know that things are quite a bit different. You'll find quite a lot happening in that aspect. Espavo.
Dear Steve and group of 9, in the December broadcast, the group answered my question about the contract and the group has predicted between me and my current partner. The group said the following, which I don't understand. He's at a certain age, but 20 years before you had an opportunity to have that contract that didn't happen. He was in a relationship, you were in a relationship, whatever the case, it didn't work and it passed around. And that's something I don't understand because 20 years ago, he was only 4 years old in this life, a toddler. In other words, and at that moment, I was 30. Can the group explain this further? Many thanks. Love, Mara.
Sure. The basis of this is simple. When we talk about an opportunity to move in around, you have contracts that you've made from the other side of the veil. Now, please understand, contracts only say that you're going to meet. They don't say what you're going to accomplish. They say that you have something, maybe you want to finish something from a previous lifetime. Maybe you had a misunderstanding and you want to do it again. So you make a contract that brings you together. But what happens from that point is entirely up to you. Sometimes some of these will turn out wonderful, some of these not so much, according to you. But the reality is they're evolutionary. Now, the timeline itself. We told you that basically you passed each other. Well, if he was 3 years old, that would be a very good reason for passing each other, and that's what happened. So please understand that when we talk about an opportunity, this was an opportunity that was set up on the other side of the veil. And if he's 3 years old, you're certainly not going to have a connection with him at this point. So he had to pass you and come around and work until the timelines were correct. So that's what we're talking about. And what we basically said was that many times these are other things that distract you. Sometimes they're in a relationship, sometimes you're in a relationship, but it can be a wide variety of things. He's in a backup plan. So his original set of parents that he had chosen, the ones that would have brought him together with you 20 years before, did not manifest. So he brought another way in and found another way. In fact, he's almost a generation late. So that's kind of what took place with this. So that's what we're talking about when we said that basically this was going to take place. And it did. It just had to swing around and go the other way. Hope that helps. Back to you.
Dear Steve and the group, greetings from Tommaso. You can call me Thomas. I'm a native Italian living in Brazil. First question, is there something important now and or that I should know about the upcoming months and next year?
Yes, this is a year of action for almost everybody, but especially for you, Tommaso. You have a lot that you're going to be working with. We're going to be talking in the future about power cycles and things that work for people, how you can control your own individual lives in a different way. And that is one of the things that you will start to uncover in this year. And what we will tell you about it is the seeds will be planted through circumstances, through things that you'll be working with, and one particular problem, as you will call it in the beginning. And that will basically give you a lot of information going forward. You will probably end up teaching this, and that is perfect. It's what you came for. You're doing really well with the rest of your work, so keep it up. Excellent work. Espavo.
Okay, and we have a second question from Tommaso, and that is, what can I do and what can be done to improve my relationships, especially with Marta?
There's one thing you can do in all relationships. Please understand, two spirits trying to have a relationship. Well, they have all this humanness that gets in the way. I have this need. I have this need. I have these things. This is my truth. Does it blend with your truth? You have all these things that work with. It is about communication. One of the things that you can do above everything else is tell Marta all of your secrets. You're all moving toward a time where there will be no more secrets anyway. But that is some of the deepest communication. Typically, people hold secrets because they don't want people to know what they're thinking. They don't want people to know their deepest, darkest thoughts sometimes. But if you share them, most of the time you're going to find out they have a very similar situation or they understand your situation. And if they don't, those are times to move apart. Now, please understand, relationships are not determined or not graded by the amount of time you are there. There are some relationships which will run their course and you'll move on. And The truth of the matter is that's not what's happening here. You have a very deep relationship already. So all we ask you to do is to speak. Let her in, all the way in. Tell her you're afraid of this. Tell her what you're afraid of. Tell her your deepest, darkest secrets. Tell her things you've been holding in. That can give you the best opportunity to make a connection. Now, love is very strange. As you well know, some people are attracted to other people. Now, you might think that it's a physical attraction. It's not. It's an energetic attraction. And when you're speaking to someone, especially deep from the heart, and you're actually able to see each other's spirits, you'll fall in love. And if you're already in love, it will go to a different level. Won't it be wonderful to walk next to another person and know that they know everything about you and they still love you? They're still walking next to you? That's perfect. That is perfect. That's the suggestion we leave you with. Enjoy the journey. Espavo.
Dear Steve and the group, I have had episodic migraines for 40 years, but thanks to very effective medication, this wasn't too much of an issue for me. 7 years ago, at the onset of menopause, I suddenly started experiencing migraines on a daily basis. Since then, I have suffered from chronic migraines that leave me bedridden or at least stuck at home, and most of the time because I never know when the next attack will strike. Also, my triggers seem to change again and again. For example, for several weeks now, I haven't been able to eat anything without getting a migraine soon after. Every time I think I have figured out one trigger, a new one shows up, sending me on another wild goose chase to find a fix for it. It feels as if, as soon as I start to get excited about engaging in activities I love and resuming an active life, I get hit with more episodes of crippling pain. I don't really live anymore. It's just existing, trying to survive each new day somehow. The longer I am in this state, the harder it is to believe it will change and to find the motivation to keep going. After 7 exhausting years of constant struggle and suffering, I am now truly at my wit's end. I am aware that I've been playing the role of a victim and have gotten quite good at it. A part of me feels ready to let go of this, but it seems there are unconscious parts to me that are not all on board. Please help me to understand how this pain and isolation is serving me and what it is I need to do to break out of this self-imposed prison and begin living and enjoying life again. Thank you very much, Nicole.
At this very moment, you have many, many people throughout the world that are sending you energy. The first thing to do is to sit back, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and bring in this beautiful love energy that you're being sent. It's incredible. You have healers all over the world right now that are starting to work with you in this way. And we tell you, it's amazing. Now, what's the deeper purpose to it? Are you just stuck in the role of playing a victim? No, we don't think that's it at all. What we think is that your higher self has blocked you from experiencing something. Find out what that experience is, step into it fearlessly, because you're definitely motivated, and watch some of the changes take place. Now, the changes will be slow. They won't be overnight because it took a while for you to get into this situation. Now, you have several different aspects. You have the emotional aspect of this, which is what you're considering to be hiding. It is keeping you out of the world. And you also, and the fear around that, what is it you're afraid of to step out in the world? But then you also have the physical side. For instance, we tell you that we tell the story all the time about the keeper. One time was in Atlantic City, and he was in an elevator, going up the elevator with his wife. Well, his wife talks to everyone all the time, so she was making these conversations, and they became aware that someone in the elevator had a bad cold. They were sneezing, they were trying to contain, and so forth. And it was very obvious that everybody in the elevator was being exposed to that. So you step out of the elevator. Now you've been exposed to it. The question becomes now, where will your physical body deal with it? And even if you find the situation, even if you close that gap of whatever emotions are there, you still have to deal with the physical situations of it. Now, your medical sciences know very little about this particular problem, which affects millions of people. The way we look at this is almost as an allergy. So when you're talking about finding your triggers, that is true. But it's the emotional triggers that we want you to start looking at. What is it you're afraid of? Are you afraid of the pain? If so, step into it for a short time and then step out of it. Push yourself in some of those areas. The pain will get worse. It will prove itself as being worthy of you, but simply by pushing against it a little bit, not a lot, but by pushing against it a little bit on a periodic basis, you'll start to break down some of these resistance emotionally. The physical body will adapt as well, just like you had before when you had all these years of being able to take a slight medication and being able to live with this process. But this is more of a challenge at this moment about what to do with it. And we send you the greatest of love, dear one. You have gone through a tremendous traumatic event. However, anytime you go through these really big events, you pick up something really valuable. What if it were possible for you to find something that actually worked for you and was able to release this? The first thing you do is pass it around to everybody else. The first thing you do is label it as a modality, and that's perfect. That is absolutely perfect. Espavo, dear one, take the breath, take the time, receive all this energy being sent to you, and enjoy the journey. Espavo.
Dear Steve and the group, thank you so much for your teachings, your tools, and for helping us understand how to navigate this current world. It's so much appreciated. Last November, a stray cat wandered into our backyard. We started feeding and taking care of her and have since taken her in, so she now lives with us and our two other cats. I'm wondering if you can tell me anything about her background. Where did she come from? Was she dumped in our neighborhood or born as a feral cat? Why is she with us? And most importantly, what do we need to know about her to help her develop? She is spunky, a fireball of energy, and often makes me laugh. With gratitude, Kathy.
And that works. The reality is you're getting what she's bringing. She took you out of your energy in a different way. We tell you a story about the keeper, the one who is channeling. He did not like cats. He had a rather large koi pond, and his greatest fear was that cats would get in there and kill the koi. The koi are rather large fish. They're beautiful Japanese colored carp, and he had 32 of them in this big pond of his in the side yard. The side yard was completely enclosed with all the netting to keep everyone, and especially cats, out. So one day, he comes home, and he looks at the sliding glass door that leads out, and he sees a cat out. And he runs because he wants to scare this cat. So he runs because he has a belief system, and he runs like crazy. And he gets to the door, and he opens the door, and he yells at the cat, and the cat looks up at him and says, "I live here now." And he was shocked. Absolutely shocked. So he asked his wife, "What is this cat doing here?" She said, "Well, we found him and we wanted to bring him home, and he seems to get along fine and he's not bothering the fish. Can he stay?" He stayed for 32 years. The cat lived a very long time and taught the keeper a major lesson about his belief systems. He would have missed all that love, all that connection, had he simply stuck with his belief systems that cats were bad or that cats were going to hurt his koi. He didn't. And in fact, they lived a very long time. It was amazing to see. So understand, the cat is there for a reason. If you just laugh, if you just enjoy, you will find those reasons. It was sent there specifically. Now, many times, animals can be oversold. It's what we call it. Yes, we know that sometimes you have different meanings for that word, but we say that because sometimes grandpa dies and he's worried about his granddaughter. So he oversouls an animal and comes in and kind of keeps an eye on you. Ask the cat if that is happening, and they will reveal themselves. And if not, just simply enjoy. Don't worry about why. Enjoy the journey. Espavo.
Hi, Steve in the group. And this is the last question, by the way, that I have. Hi, Steve in the group. Thank you all for doing what you are doing. My question for this upcoming SpiritCast is, how does one just be? Thank you so much. With love, Paolo.
That is a challenge. Just being. We've mentioned this several times, so let us explain to this a little bit more from our side of the equation. You see, humans have an illusion, and we tell you it's an illusion. It's the time illusion. You're also seeing that as your sciences develop, you're also coming to the same possibility. You haven't determined it to be a conclusion yet, but now you're starting to see this. People that are watching the James Webb Telescope have already raised this question about what is taking place, what is actually happening here. And we tell you also there's another aspect of this that people should be aware of. You have CERN. CERN is a wonderful facility with great intent behind it, great energies behind it. Basically, it is underground. It's a rather large loop, mostly in Switzerland, but underground in several different countries. And it basically throws particles and speeds those particles up to almost the speed of light, crashes the particles into each other, and studies the remnants, studies the pieces that are left over. You have discovered so much. Even the one smaller one that was in New York led to this one. Now you are starting to build a really big one, much larger than even CERN. But we also need to tell you, you have attracted attention universally from this. And we even tell you that the scientists at CERN are aware that they have opened up portals. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know what it is, but they're very much aware that time has been stopped when they do this sometimes. That opens up all sorts of portals to your energy. Now, these are not bad things, but we want to make you aware of it because CERN is active right now. There are times when they do repairs for months, they upgrade for months and months and being closed down, but they're back and they're working with things right now. This is actually changing your relationship to time. So the main piece of this is to know time is an illusion. You have past, present, and future. There's only one that's real right now. And that's how you can be. That's the only time you can be. Stop what you're doing right now. Take a breath, let it out, and stop breathing. Do you need anything? Are you hungry? Do you need to go to the bathroom? Does your body need something? Is there an itch on the top of your head? Whatever the case, you're perfect in that moment. Now, since we've introduced those things, some of you are scratching your head. But the reality is that that is the moment of just being. Right at the moment in the evolution of humanity, this is something that needs to be practiced, which is why meditation is so powerful on your planet, which is why you have so many different forms of it showing up. You have all the different aspects and different religions that have brought in different ways. But there are some times when you get into a mode, let's call it a reactionary mode. Something has happened, someone has said something, and you're about to react. Can you put that aside for just a moment and just, if that is true, and you can release all the energy around it that's pulling and pushing at you, now you can make, this is what we call heart discernment. Now you can make decisions based in harmony with your spirit. That's how this works. We'll be talking more about heart discernment as we go forward because it's becoming a very important part of living in the fifth dimension. The reality is you're doing quite well with this. Now, what is the technique of just being? There's so many of them. You'll have to find your own. You'll have to find if a meditation works for you, if breathing techniques work for you. The keeper does something very simple when he goes to bed at night. He takes deep breaths, stops breathing, he looks straight ahead with his eyes closed and raises it above the level of the horizon. That brings your brain into a different pattern. It automatically brings you into an alpha state. And you can go much deeper from that point if you so choose. So there's ways of doing this, but you'll have to find which one works for you, because those will be the most important parts and be able to work with that. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. This is great. Espavo.
Thank you so much. Those were great questions.
And now we go with Debbie.
Kathy, I love your background. That was really, really nice. Okay, a couple things from the chat room, just lots of greetings, and one person had given a follow-up answer for, he says, the lady with migraines. Have you checked your ferritin level? Ferritin. So we'll just pass that on from the chat room if that might be something worth looking into. Okay, let's get started with the questions. We have the first one from Janella, and she has a question about both current geological realignments, especially in the Ring of Fire, and wondered if indeed California is about to be submerged in the ocean or a more gradual shift. Prayer help.
You have seen this for quite some time. In fact, some 20 some odd years ago, almost 30 years ago, you had people that were talking not only about California dropping off and breaking off at the ridge line, which is the Sierra Nevadas, into the ocean. In fact, they were even selling maps that showed what the United States looked like after that happened. It did not happen. Now, please know, California is one of the most interesting places because it draws a lot of energy. You have tremendous variety of people in California. And furthermore, you'll find that most places throughout the world will find most of the population is at the seaside. That happens everywhere because there's magic there. Now, we know that many times these are very difficult for people to afford because they are very popular. But it also means that they're somewhat vulnerable. If you look at Florida right now, we tell you Florida is much more in danger of having the water rise. In fact, it has already risen. If you go to Miami Beach, you'll sometimes see the water in the streets. Now, they have pumps and everything that will take it away temporarily. But this is happening on a regular basis, very slowly. So it's not coming in and suddenly wiping out everything. It's coming in slowly. People have time to prepare. You'll also see in the fairly near future, property values will start to decline in some of these areas. Florida in particular has more of a problem than California for the main reason that Florida has so many underground springs, so many underground waters that show up in different areas. You also see different things taking place with the holes coming in the ocean that basically will start to change the way things work in there. Now, are these changes something that is similar to what take place in Atlantis? Yes, it is. It also happened in Lemuria. Things go through time phases. Now, we tell you there's opportunities for everything to change quickly. These will generally happen around earthquakes and around volcanic activity, much more so than anything else. But we also tell you that there are some wonderful things taking place. Now, California will be dealing with raising water. Absolutely. But if you simply pay attention, California is not all the same level. You have lots of hills and valleys. Pay attention to where you are and see what that looks like. Because down the road, in another 15 to 20 years, you will not be able to move. very quickly. There won't be the opportunity to do that in those ways. But to be able to find a safe space anywhere will happen. But please understand, California is a big place. You're only talking about the coastline as having the major problem. So even if the water starts to rise more, you understand that some time ago it was talking about raising a very small amount. And now they keep raising that amount because the water keeps raising. However, they're different. It's not the way it's working in that everyone gets the same process. You're finding it in different places to be slightly different. So we're not going to tell you that California is going to drop off into the ocean. It's not. You have much more things that can work with this in different ways. The tectonic plate movements themselves will start working more. You'll start seeing more earthquakes as well. But people in California are somewhat accustomed to the earthquake. When the keeper lived there for almost 26 years, they would wake up in the morning and see some of the things swaying like this, some of the hanging lamps, some things that could sway were swaying like crazy. And they go, "Oh, we're having an earthquake. Let's watch. This is fun. Let's get the camera and take some pictures." Wonderful. Now, yes, you have major earthquakes that can change the shape, can change a lot of things. But you're accustomed to motion. You're accustomed to moving in different ways. Don't let that worry you. Just enjoy where you're at. Know that you'll be well taken care of wherever you are. But also take a look at the long run. Take a look at where you live, if you wish to be there. If you live specifically at a low-lying beach, yes, you may have challenges. And some of those are some of the most expensive places. So they will move the slowest because many of them are governed by money. Money has a different attitude than humans in general. So just understand that you have these possibilities. Your Earth is changing, absolutely. Now we tell you also, by 2030, you will know much more about where this is going. Technology is improving very quickly. One of the gifts of quantum computing combined with AI, which you are now doing, it will be able to draw out these possibilities and predict them much more clearly than you ever have before. This will be very helpful for you all in the near future. So don't panic and don't worry. Set the energy for the highest potential and let it flow to you. Espavo.
Thank you. I guess it's Zandria right now or Borlia. Well, thank you in either case.
Both.
The next question is for or from Evolution Antenna. It's a long question and split between a few posts, so forgive me if I get disconnected. They say, "Hi there, I have a question. Very many channels, including yours truly, stress the importance of not paying much attention to the 3D drama show that's currently playing out. However, I feel that thinking empathetically, all being all over, have buoyed and uplifted by the many thousands of people in Minneapolis that turned out to say no to the atrocities being committed. And each one of those thousands turned out because they invested in paying attention to the drama. How can we reconcile keeping our vibration from being compromised by the drama and tuning into it so that we show up as inspirations for our brothers and sisters who are undergoing very real suffering at the hands of those less enlightened souls?"
Very beautiful. Yes, this is a difficult balance for most humans. To understand that we have even suggested, please don't swing the pendulum the other way. What we mean by that is very simple. Many times people live and vote and do things by their belief systems, by what they have been raised in. And we ask you to judge each one of these individually. Don't take an entire party of, you only have two parties in the United States, so it's very difficult to do that. However, what you need to do is to pay attention to the people standing next to this. Now, whether you're talking about the president, whether you're talking about the people that are supporting him, they all are the money in this situation. The interesting part is they're using your money. If you stop buying those things, they stop having the influence. That's very difficult to tell because they don't advertise this. They don't see it. But if you look, you can see it. Now, on top of that, does that mean you should not take to the streets? Oh, no. You can change the world by speaking your heart. Absolutely. We encourage it. Look what's happened in Iran. Now, you will have both sides of the story. But if both sides of the story are taking to the streets, you have opportunities to talk. You have opportunities to both make your voices heard and to actually communicate in different ways. Now, this is difficult in many times, but we tell you you have more effect on your world right now by taking a sign, holding it. Very challenging sometimes because it's entirely possible that even the other side, whatever side that is, will send in people to cause problems, to create havoc, to damage property, to do things of that nature, to give you a bad look, to basically say, oh, these people are not right because they're damaging things. But if you take the energy out of that. Now, what is happening in Minneapolis is ridiculous. It's pretty much the same thing that's happening in Iran. And if you look at that, you can start to see some of the other energies. Things are changing. You have a voice in this. You don't have so much voice in your government. You never did. In the United States, you don't even have a democracy that you think you have. The number of people that vote one way or the other has not had the effect that it used to have. It has been all twisted and tweaked and so forth to go toward one side. Understand that that may be only one way of having an effect. Now, we do encourage you to vote. We do encourage you to speak your mind in different ways. But when you see something so horrible and such fear intentionally put out, we tell you the links that have happened here also go back. But we also tell you another aspect. And that's that if you simply sit and let all this happen, this is exactly what happened in Germany during World War II. And we tell you that Germans paid a long, hard price for that. That's really interesting because most Germans had no clue what Hitler was doing. Most people that were in the army had no clue what Hitler was doing and the atrocities that he was creating. Yes, he pointed to a group of people and said, these are bad people. If you get rid of these people, your lives are going to be great. And you believed it. We say you as humans. That is the same thing that's happening, is it not? Pay attention. Look at your history. Look at some of the incredible things that are taking place. You're moving in that direction. Only this time they're right out in the open, and they get away with it, unless you take to the streets. Speak your mind. Absolutely. Hold your signs. Do it peacefully, please. Don't let it be wrapped up in that way. But you have something now that the Germans didn't have. You have your cell phones, and that is making a huge difference. Bring that forefront. Take your cell phones out. Take pictures, take movies, try to document everything you can when you are taking to the streets. This will help greatly. You see, humanity will swing one way or the other. If you swing completely the other way, you've got the same problem. You've got division again. And that is the biggest piece that we're asking people not to work with. Now, we tell you, much of your world has been built on democracies that took signs and went out into the streets. The keeper was there during the 60s. He was doing the same thing. There's many people that have done this in different ways. So definitely speak your mind and don't allow those things to happen without expressing yourself. And absolutely, down the road, you will see a balancing of this energy. It's a question of how long it's going to take. And that's where you can all make a difference right now. Espavo.
Thank you. We have a much shorter question this time. This is from Russ. When will we receive funding for our humanitarian projects?
You will receive funding for your humanitarian projects in ways that you are not currently looking for them. What you have done at this moment will produce results, but not for a while. There are, like we said, the money is in charge at this moment and basically doing everything they can to take off all restrictions around making money, especially in the United States. So projects that don't produce money are taking a back seat for the time being. You will eventually change that. But we also tell you there's other ways of doing this. Speak, bring your energies online, talk about what you're doing, set up GoFundMe pages. There's all sorts of ways that you can start working in these ways. Now keep in mind, the nonprofits are a difficult situation. The keeper has actually formed a nonprofit that he works with in this energy, but he doesn't rely on funding or donations. The reason is simple. If he gets a big grant from someone, those people that give the grant are going to have rules about how that money is spent and have control over what he speaks. That is not going to work with us. We would not allow him to do that for that reason. So we tell you there's other ways of doing this. Look at those. Look at the possibilities. There's many people that want to help in do things that don't bring in money. There's many people that want to help in trying to help humanity in different ways. Find those, attract those when you can, and work with them as best you can, because that is the way to look for this for the time being. Eventually, you will get funding through the typical channels, but it's going to take a while right now. So be patient and look in other directions. Espavo.
Next question is from Green Thumb. He says, or it might be she, the keeper mentioned that he may visit Russia with a seminar. Is that still in your plans?
It is not immediately in the keeper's plans. It's in our plans. You see, what we're trying to do is to literally change and reunify people. Right now, he is doing seminars in Russia online and opening those doors as best as possible with local translators that are translating it in Russian. He wants to go very badly. The time frame with all the politics is very difficult. We tell you that he has been there many times before. He's been to Moscow probably 12 times, St. Petersburg 3 or 4 times, doing seminars. And the last time he was there, he was investigated. Now, what we tell you about that is when he scans his passport at any junction, some of those things will come up. And although they didn't find anything, he was being watched. And very clearly, it was a threat to whoever was watching him. So we tell you he's a little cautious about having that done, and rightfully so. The circumstances are still very awkward from a political standpoint. And unfortunately, he's concerned about that as well. But he has every intent of going, and we do too. In the meantime, we're going to try to connect with the Russian family as much as possible. Dear ones, they're such a part of your world. You have been separated for so long. If you go back and just look at your history, you'll see how many beautiful things came from Russia and the Russian people in general. There's magic there, just like many places. And to completely cut it off, to completely put walls between you is absolutely insane. Now, we know all this is about politics. Politics has way too much pull on your planet right now. And we're hoping some of the craziness that's going on, even in Russia, will have an effect on that. Because people can take their power back, the same way we're telling you to take your power back. Difficult. In Iran, they're taking to the streets and getting shot. And they're still taking to the streets. That's powerful. That's incredible. That's made a difference already, even if nothing seems to come from it. You see, the feminine energy has risen there. It's taking up power in a new way. It's not going to tolerate the old ways. So either the government changes and starts to adapt to that, or they get knocked out one way or the other. It's difficult because all the guns, all the ammunition is on one side, obviously, and not the other. It's not a fair fight, but it is, because your hearts will change the world. So hold that energy, and don't hold it out of anger. Hold it out of wanting to balance yourself. That will help quite a bit. Espavo.
We now have 2 questions from Nicole. First one is, there is something I fear about succeeding and living the life I want, but I don't know what it is. Can you help?
There's an interesting aspect that we have talked about with this. It's called the ladder to success. You don't jump up the ladder to success. You climb up a ladder. You choose your level as to what you are comfortable with. Because at this level here, you have certain responsibilities. At this level here, all those responsibilities are tripled. At this level down here, there's practically no responsibilities. Very easy life to be poor, to be without responsibilities in different ways. So people choose that. It's not right, it's not wrong. It's just opportunities for you. Now, what is the fear of success? Well, the fear of success stops more people than the fear of failure. Absolutely. Because you take on new responsibilities. You take on a new lifestyle. Maybe you like some of the lifestyle that you have. So you think about what will happen going forward. And what is that aspect? What we ask you to do is very simply put yourself there. Live it out. When you go to bed at night, imagine what it would be like to have achieved what you're trying to achieve, to be at that higher level, whether it's about money, whether it's about responsibility, whether it's about what you do for a living. All those things are very real in the lower vibrations, and you need to work with those. Yes, as you move further into the 5th dimension, they'll still be there. They'll have less of an effect on you. But the reality is you're always going to be dealing with these things as you're a human. So step into it. What would it be like? What would be the good points of stepping into that and being seen? Many of you come in with these incredible empathic abilities. You can feel everything, you can see everything, and you close your hearts because you're afraid of feeling so much. That's difficult because you're the ones that lose track of that when you do. So yes, you've come in to be empathic. It doesn't mean you need to expose yourself to all the challenges of humanity that can certainly overwhelm you. But what we ask you to do is become aware of it. Don't hide from it. Let yourself feel and know that this has a place, and use discernment. This is for me. This is not wrong, but it's not for me at this moment, the now moment. That's perfect. You'll work with it different ways. We hope that helps. Espavo.
All right. Nicole's second question goes a little more specific. Is there something within me or outside of me that is preventing me from getting my own house?
Yes. Number one, you have released this energy in a way that you have visioned of what this is going to look like and where this is going to be. Open up those possibilities. Many times people get so fixated on something they want. And we tell you this is what has been taught many times about creation. If you look up books that tell you how to manifest, how to create, almost all of them will tell you to be very specific. If you're trying to create money, how much money do you have in the bank? Envision it, see it, understand it. If you're trying to create a house, you see the house. If you're trying to create a car, clean out your garage, make space for it, envision it. All those things are wonderful in the 3rd dimension. As you move higher into the 5th dimension, you must leave space for spirit to work through you and bring you things in ways that you're not expecting. So the question becomes, is it the house you are looking for? Or is it a lifestyle that you're looking for? Is it support that you're looking for? Is it not having to worry about things? What is it that the house brings you that can be brought in other ways? That's the first piece to look at. Open up to the possibilities of spirit bringing you things in many different ways instead of being so specific about what it is you're looking for. This will increase your capabilities of manifestation much. Now, many times you won't see it when it comes. You won't expect it. But after you've had it a while, you'll say, oh, I got it anyway, didn't I? I got it in a different way. And that's spirit working through you. Fifth dimensional reality goes to the core aspect, not the specifics. If you are specific about a house, especially about a house in a certain area, loosen the grip a little bit. Let spirit work through you in larger ways and watch what happens. Espavo, dear one.
All right, thank you. We have another question from Green Thumb. I can't gather my spirit to tell my mother that I want to sell my flat. It's a big deal. For me, it's decided, but I can't make that first hard step in this process. Can you please give me a piece of support?
Your mother has judgments, has ideas, and is overly worried about a lot of things. Please understand that. Also, we tell you that you're working with a life lesson of definition, and definition simply means that it's very difficult for you to say no. Practice that. Work with it. The keeper's wife for many years used to tell people all the time, there's a very simple way to learn it, because this was her life lesson as well. She says, practice saying no with a smile on your face and love in your heart. When you say no to something, when you tell someone you're going to do something against what they are what they want, they take it as a personal affront. And you feel that. You feel like you're going to be affecting them in this way, and you don't want to take that responsibility of making them feel negative because you want to do something. Well, that means also that you have very little deep communication with them. So speak to them. Let them know you have a challenge, that you're trying to balance this. You understand their desires, you understand their wishes, and yet you need to make a change. Many times these changes are huge for people. No one likes to move generally, but we tell you after the move, there's so much freedom. You release all the stuff that you have carried. The last time the keeper and his wife moved, they filled up 3 dumpsters full of stuff. And then when they got to their new location, they released another dumpster full of stuff. The reality is that gave them so much space to create things anew. That is the magic of it. People hold on to things because they think they'll use them someday. Let me tell you, some days now. Find what you're using, release the rest, and dare to speak to Mom with a smile on your face and love in your heart. Will she react? Probably. It's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to you first. Work with that, explain that to her, and take your move. Enjoy the journey. Espavo.
All right. This was related to some of the cat stories, I think. Steve, this is from Mentora Marta. Steve, can you please talk a little bit more about the cats or dogs being oversold?
It actually happens more than people understand, because when you find an animal and you bring them into your home, they have their own personality. Animals have a spirit and a personality. They're not just lower vibrations. Please understand that. Animals live in a huge world all their own. So do different levels. You've not discovered the insects yet. There's a whole world that you'll be able to communicate there. In botany, in the plants themselves, there's a whole world you'll understand. You don't quite get this at this moment. You do in certain ways. You're aware that when your greatest chefs on the planet will always use extremely sharp knives. Why? Because when they cut into a tomato, the tomato actually feels it. And when they use a really sharp knife, it feels it less and retains a lot more of its flavor when you ingest it. It's not wrong that you eat tomatoes, dear ones, but we tell you there is pain when you pick a tomato. There is pain when you peel a banana. There is pain that they feel in different ways, but they do so willingly to move up the chain, to be part of your spirit in some ways. So these are things that we can tell you about. Now, the animals themselves, many times they will have their own personality, but Grandpa may be looking. And that will be evident to you, especially if you are in pain. That's when they come to life. That's when the oversoul shows many times. When you're looking for answers, when you might be in pain, and all of a sudden the cat jumps up in your lap, or the dog licks your face in some way, to let you know that you're not alone. Did you call the dog over? Did you train the dog to lick your face when you were feeling so bad? No. Matter of fact, you may not even care for that. But the most important part is they felt it. Why did they feel it? Well, they have energies to be able to connect with that as well. But when they're oversold, they specifically will be there for you. It's one of the ways that spirits can connect with humans. You see, when someone dies, let's say that someone passes away. Let's say there's a young lady and she just loves her grandma. Her grandma's the greatest thing that ever. She spends weekends with her. She really connects with her, and grandma leaves suddenly. So the young lady's just devastated. She's going through all sorts of grief. She doesn't know how to take her power after that. Sometimes grief can last for years because it simply means you don't lose a person. You find another place for them in your life. Now, when that happens, the spirit will never come to them, because they will make it worse. And they're aware of that. So sometimes they oversell one of your animals. They oversell an animal that suddenly finds their way into your home. They connect with you in a different way. It's a safe way for them to put eyes on you, to connect through different levels of spirit, and to bring you love. That's the idea. So enjoy it. There's much more we can talk about with the animal world. We talk about that with animal communication seminars that we have done in the past. But we tell you this is something everybody should know. Most of you have great loves that you get from the animal kingdom. And of course, you are part of that. You are the highest realm, the highest vibration of the animal kingdom. But there's so many other kingdoms, as you call it, around you. Enjoy this. Give them love. And thank Grandma, Grandpa, whoever it is that might be overselling them. You'll see a reaction. Espavo.
My kitty has been sitting next to me throughout this session, so I guess he's sending us everybody love today. Our next question is from Barbara, and she says, "Thank you, Steve, and the group of 9. What would be helpful for me to know about how to be and express my best self in 2026?"
You are a teacher. Very simple. You probably are aware of this. Most people today have brought in something from previous lifetimes, from different energies, from contracts that they have made on the other side of the veil, and these are the times to bring those to bear. There will be much change possible in 2026. This is an opportunity to change directions, which is very difficult for humans to do. And of course, it doesn't happen at an angle of this nature. There's a curve that takes place, and sometimes a very slow curve. Now, there are times before when you have been divided that seem to be very abrupt. These are technologies that have been used on you very clearly. And we tell you, don't get into fear about the technologies. They're all around you. You're watching technologies right now. And these are the keys. Look for the things that lighten your heart. If you're looking at things that make you angry, change the channel. Very simple. And we say that with all the love in the world. look at the opportunities to see love and look at those things that work with you in those ways. You'll find differences and things that will work with you and support you. I hope that helps. Espavo.
Wonderful. We have another question from Nicole. Hi, Steve. Can you tell me about the key points and opportunities to pay attention to in February? We'll shorten that to just next month.
Yes. There's all of 2026 is going to be very big for change as it moves through, particularly in the autumn months. About 3/4 of the way through the year, you'll see opportunities for massive change. Jump into them, become part, speak your mind. If it's not heard, take to the streets, do whatever you need to do in these. And this is more than politics we're talking about, although politics will certainly rear its ugly head at that point. You have way too much energy into your politics. There's many countries throughout the world that have laws that say you can only advertise politics so many months before an election. That is not true. That is happening right now. You have many things that you have let go of that have safeguarded you in different ways. In the United States, you used to have rules that doctors were not able to advertise on television, nor were pharmaceutical companies allowed to advertise on television. Guess what? All that has changed, has it not? You're seeing so much of it where now you diagnose yourself because of an ad you saw on TV. You go to your doctor and tell them you want this drug, you want that drug, and they have to give it to you, otherwise they lose the patient. Fascinating what has happened. Go back to the basics and understand that you can choose everything. So as you move into this, start making some of the changes early. That would be perfect in this next month, which starts tomorrow. So it's absolutely wonderful. You'll also see really big opportunities for change in April. April will also be another opportunity for shifting a lot of energy. But April, August, those are going to be some of your big opportunities for shifting in 2026. But don't wait. Start now. Move. Set up potentials for where you want to be, manifestations that you want to create. You deserve to be happy. If you wish to have more money, you deserve to have more money. Take off the negative aspects that you have about money. Know that it's there for fun. Know that you have all sorts of opportunities in different ways to change everything this year. You don't need to struggle on planet Earth, dear ones. You are creator beings. It's our job to help you remember that, to help you put that into use, even for yourself first. You have to take care of you before you can take care of everyone else. And that we highly encourage. Espavo, dear one.
We have right at the moment one more question for you, and this is from Jane. There are those who are seeing visions about a significant earthquake that is to happen on February 18th and will cause great turmoil for many. Do we see this happening?
No. Very simple. There are many potentials for earthquakes to take place. Actually, the earthquakes will precede the volcanic activity, which can change your world pretty quickly. There are possibilities that your ETs have been working with. We have no problem telling you that you have a national park called Yosemite that has the potential of wiping out the United States if it decides to erupt. You have different aspects also in Yellowstone. There's different opportunities for major things that can take out most of planet Earth. And yet we tell you they're being worked on. You're getting help. You have called in some of your parental races. As we've told you recently, they've been working with the Gulf Stream, where it was basically diverted not intentionally, but it's part of the earth changes. The Gulf Stream was not distributing water and air and temperatures the way that it would have. That has been released. That could have been a major problem for planet Earth and for the humans that exist on here. Likewise, you have many things that have taken place in different areas. But we tell you, even if there are earthquakes, enjoy them. For the most part, most of them are not going to destroy your planet. There are certainly areas where things were not built for earthquakes that will be much more damaged than other areas. But as they rebuild, they incorporate that into the building. These are the evolutions that everyone needs to go through. So you can look for the negative things, or you can look for the positive things. Don't fall into fear, please. It's a way of attracting attention for many. There's many things that are happening right now that could have been predicted. But even so, they still be happening. We predicted several, and yet they're still taking place. It's not important. You really need to know what's going to take place in February, on February 18th? Enjoy it. We do not see that taking place. Espavo.
Thank you very much to the group, and I'll throw in one from myself just because this is an interesting topic for me. Oh, we have one more from someone else, but let me ask you, any updates on 3i Atlas?
3i Atlas was a major deal that most people did not understand. You were visited by a massive, massive intersection of your planet. That has been floating around for a very long time. The oddities of this have never been seen before. Much of your governments, NASA, the ESA, tried to report on it as best they could, but did not really understand what they were seeing. 3i Atlas is passing Jupiter, looking very closely at everything in your solar system. They're taking notes, but furthermore, seeds have been planted. There have been potentials that have been planted in different ways. Is that something to be afraid of? Absolutely not. You understand, dear ones, that these ETs, or EDs as we call them, for many of them are simply extra dimensional. They're able to shift dimensions through the orthogonal matrix in ways that you don't yet understand. But that's why they can enter your world and seemingly violate all of the physics principles that you work with. Sometimes they can disappear out of nowhere or change the 90-degree angle at massive speeds because they're not in this dimension. You're only seeing part of them. So with that, know that if they have those capabilities and they wanted to take you over, they could have done so back in 1948 when they first started really showing up. They could have easily done that. They're not interested in that. They want to see what's taking place. Are there ones that are evolved that are ingrained in different governments? Yes, unfortunately, that has happened. But you see, you're the ones that put the governments in charge. Change it. Know that they're certainly hiding things. You have trillions of dollars in the United States government budget that are simply unaccounted for. Real simple. You have no clue. Anybody, even in the government, has no clue where that money's going. They're going toward much of this research that has worked with anti-gravity. They've already discovered it. They've worked with it. You will find out that there are different places that have been working with us for some time. In fact, you've had presidents that have warned the public about a takeover of many of these, what you call defense contractors. They basically own a lot of the government at this point because they hold many of these secrets. One of them in particular, called Skunk Works. You can find much more about this, but they've actually developed some of these Tic Tacs that you have seen. So you've got all this variety of things that are taking place with this. Enjoy this piece. Know that there's much more to that. And we hope that kind of helps understand a little bit of that. Espavo.
Thank you very much. And we do have one more question that came in. This is from Sunshine. Hi, Steve and the group. I had a reading about 3 years ago. I've not been able to create any of it. It seems I am waiting all my life. Does the group have any advice for me? Thank you.
It's difficult to wait. It's difficult to have the challenges that many of you have to step into your work, to create things. There is what you would call success and failure in certain areas. It depends on how you measure it, because we do not see that you have completely not formed what you wanted to form. You have much work. You have a story to tell. Tell the story. Start with that. Watch what develops and what branches off from possibilities from that. That's the most important thing that you came to do. And it probably just won't be one story. Does that mean you have to write a book? Well, it used to mean that. That was one of the main ways of being able to communicate in these ways. But that has changed. Much of it has shifted in different ways now. So you can see much more possibilities of doing that. Speak your truth. Tell your story. Do not measure the success by the business you build or the money that comes in or the support that comes in. First, look at, are you on target? Are you speaking your truth? Are you telling your story? You understand, dear ones, each of you have internal stories that you carry in your bodysuit. Change the story and you change your life. It's almost too simple for humans to understand. We hope we can complicate it enough for all of you to grasp. But it is simple. Not easy, but it's simple. Stay with that. Step forward, speak your truth every opportunity. Know that you're right on target. Espavo, Debbie, for being here. Thank you for your work today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
With that, we'll bring you a final message. Your space has been reserved here. You have for very long times wanted to incarnate during these times of change. Yes, from your perspective, you may want to go back to the old days when things were easier. But were they really? You have a tendency to put much of your fear into the future and much of your joy and good memories into the past. That's kind of how you store things. So understand, stepping into the future, discovering and uncovering some of those fears can be incredible. Each of you have this beautiful, balanced energy. You'll step into the feminine side of this for a moment. You can start to feel more of it. And many of you, we're not talking male or female, we're talking masculine and feminine energy, which all of you carry both sides of. Look at this. Look at that balance within you. And know that that's where your true strength is. We can tell you your strength comes from your vulnerability. And although that's not easy to understand, because when you're invulnerable, you tend to want to protect yourself. You want to tend to hide. Step into it. Step into it with a smile on your face and love in your heart. And watch what happens. You have great potentials and capabilities right now on planet Earth. We thank you for being here. We thank you for being part of a rather large family of light. And it's with the greatest of honor we ask you to treat each other with respect. Nurture one another at every opportunity and play well together. We're speaking as Merlia and Zandria. The connection is very deep. We love you dearly. Espavo, everyone.